fucking, what the fucking fuck? Who the fuck? Fuck this fucking, how did you two fucking fucks? Fuck!
Well, it certainly illustrates the diversity of the word.
And yeah,
that kind of works. Because like, I know you guys, and I know last time you guys did the podcast, you had a thing about the yellow vests.
Yeah.
And my reaction to this a little bit more visceral than say, what you did, because you tackle like the philosophical differences between the two.
right.
This is just something that has just annoyed the fuck out of me because on Facebook, because friends have worked in the oil field and from hometown, whatever. They've been posting a lot of this shit, although it's been significantly less since they started booting people off the Facebook for calling for, hanging of the elected prime minister.
Right.
Like that's just not cool. But anyway, the way thing is like there's if this protest was just like supposedly the two main ideas behind the protest, pro-pipeline and anti-carbon tax. Actually, I wouldn't be as against it. I mean, I myself are not anti-pipeline. I agree that it's a better way to transport the oil. I think we need to get it to other markets, but they are problematic. They do leak. Mm-hmm. You can't just, and I don't think that they're the panacea that they're expecting them to be.
Right.
I don't think that if they build these pipelines, suddenly it'll be back to the way it was, 5 years ago, because that was a bubble that popped.
That ain't ever coming back.
No, that was a bubble that popped. I mean, supply and demand, bitches. But this has turned into like an umbrella for every right-wing nut job idea out there. I mean, it's become, instead of MAGA hats, it's become yellow vests. Yeah. It has taken this similar tone as the MAGA people down in the States. Although, granted, it's not, instead of the blind loyalty to Trump, it's the blind rage hatred of Trudeau. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that has been kind of popped up, and I grabbed a couple screen captures and sent to you, is this idea of this globalism that they're protesting because of the proposed pact about easing migration.
The UN Migrant Pact or Pact on Refugees or whatever it was.
Yeah, which I look at it kind of cynically as a bunch of guys at the UN going, it'd be great if we do this thing, and they all pat each other in the back. Yeah, we should do this thing. The one thing they're not going to do is the thing. It's like
that's what happens when something's completely non-binding.
Yeah, it's not. It was non-binding.
Except Trudeau would be like, "Yeah, we're doing this thing," because he would totally do the thing.
Yeah, but
which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
nobody knows what we're talking about.
No, because from what little I've read about it, all it's supposed to be is an agreement to make it easier to, but it doesn't. UN doesn't get to dictate how many migrants you take in.
Yeah,
it's just supposed to make the transition easier, and it makes it easier to deport as well. But everyone's up in arms over it, and it's just this. Like, when did the UN become Cobra? Like, it's Guild of Calamitous Intent. Right. Like, all these, super villain-esque, things. Like, yes, the UN is a global entity, but they don't dictate. Yeah. It's like, what was that? Team America, it's like, well, hello, Hans Briggs. We're going to write a very stern written letter to you. Like, the UN is not as effective as these protesters seems to be making it.
Essentially toothless, right?
Yes. I mean, you look at all the things that have gone throughout the world, and the UN has sent troops there, but they haven't really been able to do much. The Rwandan genocide, the stuff in Darfur, the list is long. But
everything in Saudi Arabia ever.
Yeah, I mean, although I don't think UN has got troops in Saudi Arabia at the moment.
No, that's true.
But it's just this idea of that it's become this umbrella for every crackpot right-wing idea. It's just annoyed the hell out of me, especially when it's people I know that are buying into it. And it's like, I was hoping they were a little bit smarter than this.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking at their, there was 2 different manifestos that I found, and they weren't exactly the same. They were similar, but I mean, the one thing that really stuck out was this weird idea about sovereignty, that they keep going on about sovereignty. And I don't think they know what the fuck they're talking about. Like, the one that really stuck out, and I'll see if I can find it here, was, where is it? Regular referendums. This is the one that really bugged me. Was, we the people advocate for our sovereign right above all others to use our 100% veto power to vote via referendums or other means necessary on the major issues and decisions prior to legislations and laws being changed that will affect the quality of life and livelihoods of we the people, that we're able to challenge the past changes to legislation and laws back to 1982, which have been proven not to be in the best interests of we the people.
Isn't that called an election?
Yeah, well, the problem is the reason why 82 seems to be standing out is that's when Pierre Trudeau,
right,
repatriated the Canadian Constitution. You know, they're worried about sovereignty. Prior to 82, we couldn't technically in Canada change our own constitution because we were ruled by the BNA Act. You know, and so this idea that they have to have referendums on every major law is like this weird, I don't know, is that libertarian or just crackpot fuck?
It's just crackpot nonsense. These are people who aren't even informed about what any of these things were.
No,
they can't even be informed properly as to who the candidates who are in charge are now, let alone each and every law that's been passed since 1982.
I mean, it's easy to point out where referendum doesn't make sense and it doesn't work. Brexit.
Well, see, this is the problem. This is the tone of what has bothered me about this. Is I think the election of Trump, Brexit, this all have the same kind of misinformation bullshit attached to it.
Yeah.
You know, because Brexit has happened, but there was, after it happened, everyone was like, oh, what did we vote on again? Because there was so much misinformation about it. You know, Trump gets elected because there was so much misinformation about Hillary and whatever else.
Yeah, if we get to the point where it's a referendum on everything, it's just going to be voting for CTV or NBC.
Oh, it'll be just a total utter clusterfuck.
Yeah, it's going to be voting based on spin. That's all it's going to be.
You know, and like,
people don't have the wherewithal generally to go deeper than the first layer of shit they're fed.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you just look at the reaction we had after the last election, right? Not my prime minister. Well, no, that's out west. He didn't win many. The Liberals didn't win any seats, but that's how
they want a seat here.
Well, yes, Goodale was an exception,
and in
Edmonton?
I mean, out in BC, they didn't do too bad.
Yeah.
So I mean, in the West, I mean, Alberta.
Well, I mean, that's the problem is when the West wants in, meaning Alberta wants to dictate. You know, is the way it works. But that's what the tone seems to be with this, is that if they don't get exactly what they want, well, they're not listening to the will of the people. You know, and the problem is like I said, I empathize. Like, I mean, it sucks out here. Like, I mean, right now the economy sucks because oil's dried up, right? The money's not floating as much. Everywhere is slow and dead and boring. Yeah. But
things are tough all over.
But the problem is
I would correct that too. The economy doesn't suck because the oil's dried up for money. The economy sucks because we no longer have the artificially inflated benefit of the oil. You can't blame the oil on the economy on the oil. It was just something beneficial for a while that kept us floating.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, the reactionary, because there was a bunch of dominoes that happened. Like, I mean, Suddenly the provincial government doesn't have as big a coffer. Suddenly they jack the BST on everything and then bitch about the carbon tax. There's a million ironies that we could talk about.
Our economy sucks because of mismanagement.
Bingo. But
Yeah.
the thing is, and like this is where this has annoyed the fuck out of me, is because I empathize, because there's a lot of people that, their livelihoods have been affected by this. But it's a commodity that is cyclical. It goes up and crashes about every 10 years. Different reasonings, but the pattern is about the same. And to think that you can drive a bunch of rigs to Ottawa and change anything, I don't, because the pipeline issue isn't just government. It's because,
It's almost entirely not government at this point, right?
No, I mean, they're blaming Trudeau. He's attacking the oil industry. Well, no, that's why they bought the fucking pipeline. They've got $1 billion, package to try to infuse into it, but they're attacking the oil industry.
Yeah, they're bending over backwards to support the oil industry, but
But
attacking.
there's a glut on oil, and it's not fucking worth anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like a fucking Ford Focus.
kind of, yeah.
270,000 kilometers isn't too bad.
I wasn't talking about your car. I was just saying in general. But
All the car analogies.
It's all he knows. But like, I mean, this is the thing that
That's
is
his
just,
reference point.
it just annoys me, is that people that are all up in arms need to understand. I mean, I don't know all the ins and outs because I'm not in the industry, but you need to understand a bit more of your own industry.
Well, and the trouble is that people don't it's not even that they don't understand the industry, it's that they don't understand policy or economics or anything except for work on the rig, pump the oil out of the ground, I'm supposed to get paid.
none of them look past our border, our provincial border. Like, I shouldn't say none. That's really being very dickish.
It's making a bit of a blanket statement, I guess.
But a lot of people, the people that are making these statements about the oil, they aren't looking at the glut coming from the Middle East, the fact that America is now basically not requiring as much of our oil.
That's the thing, is, I mean, this is the end result of $150 a barrel.
Yeah.
It was $150 a barrel, so we threw everybody, just chucked bodies into the oil patch. Everyone was drilling like crazy. The Americans went fracking crazy. They're supplying themselves, so there's now an oil glut here.
Yeah.
That's why it's because the current pipelines can't handle what they're, so it's just sitting there because the Americans don't need it, so they're not taking it. They don't want the Fort Mac stuff because it's too thick. They have to dilute it to get it through the pipes. And there's also that PR that it's dirty oil and they don't want it. So, I mean, all these factors kick in. And this is the economic reality.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of the people in the oil field, they're like, well, if we could just get it to the fucking port, well, where's it going to go?
Well,
who's going to buy it?
That's part of the part I kind of agree with, that you do need those because you do need to get to other markets.
If there's a market.
But I mean, that is true. But I mean, we can't, being totally reliant on the Americans as our only customer is kind of silly because, I mean, especially under President Cheeto Dust, who, he gets a mean tweet from Ann Coulter and he totally changes his economic policy. Like you can't trust them. But that's just it, is China's economy is slowed down, so they don't need the oil. The only other one is sending it out towards Europe, but do they need it? I don't know. I mean, I don't think the pipeline. I think we do need the pipelines, but they're not going to fix everything.
I think, that's the issue.
They're problematic because they do fucking leak. Some people don't want it running through their land.
Trains derail and burn down towns too, though. So there's
trade-offs. There's trade-offs.
I mean, transporting oil is an issue. It's never going to be perfect, but I think that the myth that a pipeline is going to cure all of Canada's economic ills is something that is really prevalent in Saskatchewan and Alberta now. And
it's not going to change anything.
That's also the thing, and I don't know the numbers per se, but you hear them saying how many billions of dollars we're losing because, the Canadian oil is so depressed or whatever. Once again, it's Alberta bitching about money they're not making.
Yeah, here's the thing. If those oil companies were losing billions of dollars, they would find a way to get their fucking oil to market.
Right.
Yeah.
Billionaire oil companies don't be like, oh, we can't move the oil. I guess we don't make any money. They would find a way to get the oil to market. They would use fucking semi-trucks.
They'll fucking fly it in planes if they have to.
We have all of these planes for putting out forest fires. They can hold lots of oil.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just a thing of, it annoys me because, certain elements of it I agree with. I mean, like I said, I'm not anti-pipeline, but they're problematic. But I don't think it's going to cure all the problems. And and when they had their little town hall at the university, pissed me off because live down by the university, and if I stepped outside, all I could hear was the fucking honk 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 honk, and it was just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're the same people that would be like, fire all of them if, say SaskTel went on strike, but you guys are on strike basically driving your semis around, and that's fine. Like, the whole thing pisses me off.
You people have thought about, pipelines and oil industry a lot of shit. I don't even ever think about this shit. I don't know why. I mean, it's like I'm not affected.
Things like economies and, money are important.
Well, no, I'm not saying it's not important. I don't know why I never think of this shit. I never occur. I never.
The same people on Facebook posting shit every 5 seconds.
It might be, because I have astronomers. Oh, actually, the thing I'm going to talk about later, is actually a thing that a friend of mine posted because he's working on that project. So,
cool.
Anyways,
no, that's awesome.
So that's what I get.
Yeah,
and also my aunt posts about the weather a lot. I'm just like, Diane, nobody cares. Yeah. I love my aunt.
Right.
But I don't care.
Yeah. As opposed to Rene, whose Facebook feed is
Renee's got some good shit in there.
Up to piss him off.
You know what I think would have made
some good shit in there.
You know what I think would have made these guys even more mad? First off, they hate our carbon tax. Imagine if that carbon tax, if Trudeau said, okay, well, any province that hasn't signed on, you're still paying the carbon tax, but that is going into renewable energy in your province. I think that's what they should have
Isn't
done.
SaskPower moving towards renewable energies? Is that not so?
They're moving towards whatever is going to be cheaper for power for them.
Yeah.
But
which will be renewable.
Which turns out not to be a thing that's not renewable.
And they just announced a big project for Estevan for geothermal, which I think is good.
Yep.
See, I know some things about energy things that people talk to me about shit, and I kind of half listen.
And then we have our premier fucking suing the federal government, saying you can't impose.
He's not standing up for me.
Fucking head.
He says he's standing up for Saskatchewan, but I really don't think that he is.
Nope.
What I really don't like about him is that he can't smile, and then all the billboards of him, he's just squinting at the sun because that's the closest they can get to. He's kind of grimacing and squinting at the sun, and that's the closest they can get to a smile. And I mean, it's an approach.
Well, it's hard to smile when you have Brad Wall's
a rod up your ass.
Well, I was thinking Brad Wall's hand up there.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
That's right.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, how do you feel about your rant there, Rene?
Not quite coherent enough, but good enough.
Good enough.
Yeah.
I'm just like, wow, this is stuff I gotta start thinking about because you guys know a lot more about this shit than I do.
I work with guys who are right into this yellow vest convoy bullshit.
What I don't get is how they can think that the prime minister and his cabinet can't pass a tax federally.
Yeah.
Well, no, but that's the catch-22, right? There is that argument out there, and I've heard it, is that they think it's totally within the government's power to they should be able to just plow that pipeline right through. That's their power. But a federal tax isn't.
Yeah.
Right.
One
you like, one you don't.
That's the huge hypocrisy of this.
Yeah.
And it's, like I said, I understand that it's your livelihood. I get that.
Right.
It's no different than your American gun nuts. my government guarantees and I can have a gun so I can fight my government.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of
Rene, you just need to learn to like make better use of the unfollow button. Just saying.
Or sometimes
There's
just
other
the
websites.
unfriend button. Like seriously.
Or even unfriend.
Some of these people.
See, that's the problem. Is I'm
go
okay
to
with-
foxnews.com. It'd probably be less painful.
Sometimes it's good.
The thing is
Breitbart.
I'm not one for that. I should be able to have friends that I don't, you know what? Fuck you. I don't agree with you on this. And that should be fine.
Yeah.
But so this
That doesn't work with Corey, though, because you do that to Corey and you'll get a fucking 42-page essay. Or you won't get it in one segment, though. It'll be in like 32 different fucking replies to your post.
that's
That
what the
you never
delete
even
button
look
is
at
for.
until like 2 months later.
Oh shit.
Yeah, the only thing I ever comment on that Corey's posted is actually when he's replying to somebody else and it shows up in my feed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I got to scroll through to
I'll
find
admit
it.
I haven't engaged with anyone over this because I knew it's just pointless.
yeah.
Yeah,
it's a
there's no
waste of
reason
time.
It's
to.
a waste of time, but it's just something that like I said, there's elements of it I can understand, but I think it's hit that crossed that tipping point into just fucking stupidity.
We should start our own purple vest movement or something.
The yellow vest was supposed to be ours. It was supposed to be a left-wing movement.
I know. So
Wow, that
How about
got
a purple
hijacked.
belt? Like something nicer than a vest. Purple belt? Purple high heels. I want high heels.
I don't know how to
heels.
walk in high heels.
If you get
make
really
it
comfortable ones,
food
it'll be
related?
okay. Oh, yeah. Purple cotton candy.